I am going to discuss my 1A2 phone controller that I spent like 10 days of serious engineering working on. So what I've done is I've repurposed a box. So this was originally a Crestron controller that did a whole bunch of other stuff. However, I pulled all of its guts out, leaving just the CPU, just the processor, which is, I've got a nice display in the front, some buttons, but more importantly, I have a lot of room inside. So what I ended up doing is stuffing in a lot of electronics. There's a lot inside this box. I've added extra power supplies to do various stuff. The total list of things inside here is enormous. There's a 1A2 card by SERISS that's just awesome. You can just simply Google 1A2 card, and you can find this on the internet. He's been awesome to work with, and the card has worked just flawlessly. It's been really great. Helped me do a couple of different mods like Music on Hold. Very, very helpful. I made some modifications to it. I modified it for a full wave ringing so that it'll hit both gongs if I put a 2-gong bell into my 1A2 phones, which I have. I've also added, coming out of it, an RJ12 that has an A lead and the ring generator 16 hertz ringer. So I can hook up phones like an individual line phone like that, and I can be on the 1A2 system with the correct ringing. Also inside here is an UMA TELO, T-E-L-O, and it's running the UMA Office Pro Plus package, which gives me literally hundreds of telephony options associated with business VoIP phones, which is really great. So my telephone signal starts out as a UMA device. There's a Crestron CEN TIA telephone interface. This is a really extensive board. This is a second one that I've got that I used for various stuff, but there's a tremendous amount of stuff on here. This is a very sophisticated board. I'll talk about what all that does. I'm not using a whole lot of it for my application, but it is in there. I modified that board for a lead control. What it does for me is it's an auto dialer, unlimited size auto dialer. It has things like automated attendant that I can program with my own voice prompts, and press 1 and press 2, and it can do things if I want. It has a speakerphone capability using an XLR balanced input and output, so that can provide a real high quality speakerphone if I want to do that using any kind of mic or speaker system. It also, mostly what it does for me is it just does ring detection so that I know when the phone's ringing into the software. There's the Crestron control processor, which is this top board, is basically a Crestron control processor. It gives me full capability of doing any kind of programming using a number of different languages and a bunch of different stuff that I can do with it. It controls everything, brings everything together, makes all of it work, provides an interface for a iPhone app, iPad app, and also touch panels and keypads in the wall if I wanted. It also allows me to interface the 1A2 system with home automation completely. So I have a switch in my bedroom that I just touch the switch and it puts the phone system, the 1A2 system, into Do Not Disturb. So this is the integration of it with Crestron with home automation is really cool. Let's see. It also has a couple of RS-232s, bunch of analog I/O, relay, Ethernet stuff. Can do all sorts of IP stuff if I want. Let's see. The other thing that I've got in there is a Who's Calling 2 Deluxe. This is a caller ID and a call accounting hardware board. And it provides all sorts of amazing things. It provides really good caller ID. It also provides like call accounting, so how long the call lasted, how many rings before I picked up, how many outgoing rings, all sorts of interesting information that it picks up, along with all the caller ID stuff. The Ooma is sending out after call blurbs. So it's a caller ID signal that comes out after you hang up, and it picks that up too and sucks in that data. So there's a bunch of interesting stuff that it does. I'm using a D-Sign ring generator that I've modified for even lower distortion and a lower impedance, so it's a better power. It's better for ringing bells. I've set it to 16 hertz because I prefer 16 hertz. All phone ringers are in phase with the gongs in all phones. This is important. So when you go ding on all the phones, it's ding, and when you go dong, it's all the phones go dong. So it's hitting like a 54A all at the same time and a 54B all at the same time. If you don't do that, then you end up with this, this terrible racket versus really nice ringing. So I made sure to keep the phase on all the phones correct, including the ones going to the single line phone stuff too. So that's important. I've got an RJ12 connector set up for the Codaphone control. Now the Codaphone is completely restored. I've recapped it completely. I've done a bunch of mods to it to make it better quality circuits. I've done a lot of work on that, bringing it back to brand new. Now with the Codaphone, this was back when there was no such thing as delayed answering. You just turned it on when you're ready to record and turned it off. And also it doesn't have any kind of message indicator light or anything. It has a dial, but you have to come look at it. So its terminals, though, allow you to hook it up to a 1A2 system. It's got a lead, and it's also got a couple of connections called 1 and 2. And if you short these two connections, it starts the cycle for the automatic answer. For the answering. So I hooked that to the software. The software watches the rings, counts the rings, and then will set the answering machine off at the appropriate number of rings, depending upon how I have it set. I've added music on hold. The music on hold is really sophisticated. I'm using a board in there, a Crestron board, where I can put an unlimited number of files, MP3 or WAV, and play them back at my choices. So I can pick different files at any particular time. They're triggered when it goes on hold. So that's convenient because that allows me to really, queue up an exact thing starting right at the beginning every time I put somebody on hold. So that's a good thing. I like doing that. It's also coupled to the phone line using a really good transformer. So the quality of the music on hold is actually quite good. I can also switch to an external input rather than the files. I can do that from the touch panel, and I could hook up a radio or anything to it to play music into it. There's both XLR balanced input and RCA unbalanced input that I can go with that. Let's see. So that's all fine and good, right? So and now the interface that I've done, this is just the interface for the little touch panel. The iPad has a much more extensive thing, but this just sits right next to the phone, so that makes it convenient. This allows me to control the number of answers, the number of rings for it answered. Also allows me to do either instantaneous pickup, so it doesn't even have any rings. It looks for that very first cycle of the first ring and kicks it off then. I can turn off the ring generator. So this allows me to silence the phone system, all the ringers, but still have the lights flash so I know there's an incoming call. Do not disturb. What that does is that turns on turns off the ringers and turns on the instant answer, so I don't get disturbed by anything when that's set up. Music on hold, I can either disable the music on hold or I can enable the music on hold, and I can control it should I want to with the transport. As you'll see, the line status accurately shows what's going on the lines. And also I've got a message indicating thing that flashes the entire display, which you'll see when I run it in a minute, and allows me to see how many calls have come in. The caller ID, I've got this blocked out right now because it's got my phone number. I don't want to put that out into the world. But it shows a bunch of things on here, obviously the time and the date, but it also shows the length of duration for the incoming call and how many rings. So also this works for outgoing calls too, which I'll show in just a second. Okie dokie. So what I've got hooked up right now are a couple of 1A2 phones, and I've got a single line phone hooked up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and call into the system, and we've got the ringer on right now, so we'll certainly hear it. Okay. So we're getting all the 1A2 stuff running, and it's ringing, and you can see the light showing, and it's quite accurate. See if I can get both in the same shot. But it's showing good timing. It shows what's going on. The answering machine is going to grab it. Now the answering machine has grabbed it, and that's showing me that I've got a message that's in there. So the answering machine has picked up the line. I'm going to go ahead and hang up, and it's going to go ahead and hang up. And so and what it also shows too, the caller ID, is it shows that that was an incoming call that lasted 17 seconds, and it was on the third ring that it grabbed it. And normally this would also show, you know, the message, how many messages were left, but I just cleared it a second ago. Now, outgoing call. So if I make an outgoing call, what occurs is the caller ID box will actually pick up the outgoing call information. So let me go ahead and then turn this off, hang up the phone, and then it grabs the outgoing call information. So how many seconds that call was, and the phone number. So that works out really well too. I've wired up the 2500 to work on 1A2. So when I take that phone off, that operates the way it should, and it rings the way it should. I can also do this, of course, without ringer. Here, let's just go all the way to. Well, no, let's just turn off the ringer, and that's convenient. I find that's useful for me if I don't want to be disturbed too much. So I'm going to call in again, but now we've got the ringer disabled. So you can see we're getting flashing lights, and even the app and will show the flashing lights, and that's all good. So that's handy. So the on hold. So music on hold. So let's go ahead and make a call. Okay, so we're waiting on the other end to answer. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put it on hold. Now what's happened is you can see that on the display that it's playing now. So the music on hold is playing out. What we'll do is we'll call in and we'll put it on hold. That's a better example. Plus, then you can actually hear it too. So let's clear all of that, and let's go ahead and call in. We'll use the speaker for that. Okay, so we've got the call coming in, and we're going to go ahead and pick up the line, and we're going to put it on hold. And the cell phone's not doing a good job of reproducing the on-hold music. But I picked a really fun, outgoing music on hold song. Quite unexpected. Ought to cause people to really lose their minds. Now, during the call, it'll keep playing from the same spot. So if I come back to the call now, and then I go back out there, it doesn't start it from the beginning again. it picks it up where it already was. So that's important. So that was part of the whole overall programming. Anyway, so there we go. I haven't decided what else I'm going to add to it yet.